The Arizona sun hit my kitchen window at exactly 6:30 every morning, turning the countertop into a strip of pure gold. I'd learned to love that light over the years, the way it made even my small kitchen feel like something special. This morning, I was making Nicole's favorite cinnamon rolls from scratch, the ones I used to wake up at 5 to prepare when she was little. My hands moved automatically through the dough, kneading and folding the way I'd done 1,000 times before. The cinnamon sugar filling was already prepared, waiting in a small bowl, its scent mixing with the yeast and butter. I was excited. Nicole had called 3 days ago, her voice bright and energetic the way it always was when she had news. "Mom, I want to come by Saturday morning. I have something amazing to share with you." She wouldn't tell me what, just that it was big, career-changing, life-changing. My daughter had always been like that, bursting with enthusiasm, seeing possibilities everywhere. I'd raised her to dream big, even when money was tight, even when it was just the two of us after her father died when she was 7. I checked the clock. 7:15. She'd be here in 45 minutes. The rolls were rising under a clean towel, my coffee was brewing, and I'd set out the good plates, the ones with the tiny flowers around the rim that had been my mother's. Everything was ready. My phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Nicole. "Mom, so sorry. Brad and I are slammed with podcast prep. Can we reschedule? Maybe next month?" I read it twice, then 3 times. Next month. The cinnamon rolls sat there, rising slowly under their towel. The good plates looked suddenly foolish, too formal for a Saturday morning alone. I typed back, "Of course, honey. No problem. Good luck with the podcast." 3 cheerful emojis came back. Heart, sparkles, kiss. I sat down at the kitchen table, still holding my phone. This wasn't the first time. Last month, she'd canceled our lunch because of a major sponsorship meeting. The month before that, it was a crucial networking event. I understood. Nicole was building something. Her coaching business and podcast called The Self-Made Woman had really taken off this past year. She had over 100,000 followers now, corporate sponsors, speaking engagements. I was proud of her. So proud. I got up and started wrapping the unbaked rolls in plastic wrap. They'd keep in the fridge. Maybe I'd bake them tomorrow, or maybe I'd just throw them away. It felt wasteful either way. My sister Ruth called at 8. Did Nicole make it over? She had to cancel. Work stuff. Ruth was quiet for a moment. Margaret. How many times has she canceled in the past 3 months? She's busy, Ruth. You know how it is when you're building a business. I remember when I was working full-time and going to night school to finish my degree, I barely had time to breathe. You also had a 7-year-old to raise. Alone. That's different. Is it? I changed the subject. Ruth meant well, but she didn't understand. Nicole wasn't being neglectful. She was just busy, successful. Wasn't that what I'd always wanted for her? After we hung up, I opened my laptop. I'd gotten into the habit of listening to Nicole's podcast while I did housework. It made me feel connected to her life, to hear her voice even when I couldn't see her. The latest episode had come out yesterday. The title caught my eye. Breaking Free: How I Built My Empire from Nothing. I clicked play. Nicole's voice filled my kitchen, warm and confident. Today, I want to get really vulnerable with you all. People see my success now. The podcast, the coaching program, the book deal, and they think I had it easy. But let me tell you something. I built this empire with no help, no safety net, just pure determination and grit. My hand froze on my coffee cup. I didn't have anyone handing me money to start my business. I didn't have family support or a trust fund. Everything I have, I earned through hustle and sacrifice. And you know what? That made me stronger. It made me self-reliant. If I'd had someone swooping in to save me every time things got hard, I wouldn't be who I am today. The coffee had gone cold. I kept listening. So many people in my generation expect handouts. They expect their parents to fund their lives well into their 30s. Not me. I cut myself off from dependency early. I said, Nicole, You're on your own, and that's exactly how you grow. And honestly, best decision I ever made." The episode continued, but I couldn't hear it anymore over the ringing in my ears. No help, no safety net, no family support. I walked to my bedroom and opened the filing cabinet where I kept all my financial records. I'd always been meticulous about this, a habit from the years when every dollar mattered. The folders were labeled by year, organized chronologically. I started pulling out statements, receipts, canceled checks, Nicole's college tuition. I'd taken out a second mortgage on this house to cover it. $48,000 over 4 years. She'd gone to a state school, lived at home to save money. But even then, tuition, books, fees, it all added up. I'd worked summer school every year, took on private tutoring in the evenings, did everything I could to make sure she graduated debt-free. After college, there was the apartment deposit when she moved out, $2,000 because her credit wasn't established yet. Then the car when her old Honda finally died. $15,000 for a reliable used Toyota that would be safe, that wouldn't break down on the highway. When she wanted to start her coaching business 5 years ago, she'd needed capital. "Just a loan, Mom. I'll pay you back. $25,000. I'd cashed in part of my retirement fund early, paid the penalty, because I believed in her dream. The rent helped during the first 2 years when clients were slow. $500 a month, $12,000 total. The professional headshots, the website design, the business coaching program she'd enrolled in to learn how to scale, $8,000. The emergency room bill when she broke her ankle skiing and didn't have good insurance yet, $3,000. The wedding. Oh God, the wedding. Brad's family had money, but Nicole wanted it to be her day, funded her way. I'd contributed $35,000 to make sure my only daughter had the wedding she dreamed of. I kept finding more. The camera equipment when she started the podcast. The designer wardrobe she needed for speaking engagements. Mom, I have to look professional. The deposit on her current house when she and Brad were stretching to afford it. I made a list, added everything up twice to be sure. $187,420. Over 15 years, I had given my daughter $187,000, and she was on a podcast right now, sponsored by companies who were paying her to speak, telling thousands of people that she'd built her empire from nothing, with no help, no family support. I sat on my bedroom floor, surrounded by papers, and tried to remember how to breathe. The next 3 weeks passed in a strange fog. Nicole texted occasionally, always cheerful, always busy. I responded the way I always did, supportive and understanding. But something had shifted inside me. I kept thinking about that number, $187,000. That was 3 years of my teaching salary. That was the down payment on a new house. That was my retirement, the thing I'd sacrificed over and over, always telling myself it was okay because I was investing in Nicole's future. Ruth noticed. "You look tired," she said when she came over for our weekly dinner. "Are you feeling all right?" "I'm fine. Just adjusting to retirement, I think." "You retired 4 months ago?" "That's not adjusting. That's something else." She paused. "Margaret, what's going on?" I almost told her. But what would I say? That I was upset my daughter didn't acknowledge my help? It sounded petty. It sounded like I was keeping score, like love was transactional. I'd never helped Nicole because I expected public recognition or payback. I'd done it because she was my daughter, because you help your children when they need it. But there was something else underneath that, a question I kept trying not to ask. Did she really not remember? Or did she just not want to admit it? My phone rang. Nicole. My heart jumped the way it always did when I saw her name. "Mom, great news. Brad and I are going to Sedona this weekend for a wellness retreat. It's going to be amazing, exactly what we need to recharge. I'll send you pictures." "That sounds wonderful, honey." "Oh, and Mom, I meant to ask, could you do me a favor? There's this conference in Dallas next month that I really want to attend, but the ticket is kind of pricey. It's $1,500, but it's such a good networking opportunity. And, no. Silence on the other end. What? No, Nicole. I can't help with that. Oh. Her voice changed, flattened. Okay, okay. I just thought since you're retired now, you might have some extra. I'm retired, Nicole, which means I'm living on a fixed income now. Social Security and my teacher's pension. I don't have extra. Right, sure. She laughed, but it sounded forced. I'm just used to being able to ask you, you know? You've always been so generous. There it was. She did remember. At least some of it. I have been generous, haven't I? Of course. You're the best, Mom. Don't worry about the conference. I'll figure it out. Brad and I can swing it. After we hung up, I sat there holding my phone. Brad and I can swing it. They could swing a $1,500 conference ticket, but had asked me to pay for it anyway. I thought about their house, the one I'd helped with the down payment. 4 bedrooms, a swimming pool, in one of the nicest neighborhoods in Scottsdale. I thought about the Sedona Wellness Retreat this weekend, probably $500 or $600 minimum. I thought about Nicole's designer business wardrobe, her professional makeup and hair for podcast recordings, the expensive microphone and camera setup in her home office. I opened my laptop and went to Nicole's website. There she was, smiling confidently in a photo that had cost me $800 when she'd asked me to help pay for professional branding photos. The tagline under her name read, Self-Made Success Coach, Podcast Host, Author. Self-made. I clicked on her podcast page and scrolled through the episodes. So many of them had similar themes. The myth of work-life balance when you're building from scratch. Why I said no to family obligations to say yes to my dreams. Breaking free from dependent thinking. I clicked on that last one. It was from 2 months ago, one I hadn't listened to yet. Nicole's voice came through my speakers. One of the hardest things I had to do was set boundaries with family. And I know some of you struggle with this too. Your parents want you to come to every holiday, every birthday, every Sunday dinner. But here's the truth. When you're building something significant, you have to be willing to disappoint people. You have to be willing to say no, even to family, especially to family sometimes. She continued, I love my mom. I really do. But I realized early on that if I tried to meet all her expectations, I'd never have time for my own dreams. So I had to make a choice. And yes, I know it hurt her feelings sometimes when I couldn't make it to things. But successful women don't have time for guilt. We have to be ruthless with our time and energy. I closed the laptop. The next morning, I called my financial advisor, Tom, who'd been helping me manage my retirement funds since Daniel died. Tom, I need to understand something. What would my retirement look like right now if I hadn't taken out that second mortgage 15 years ago? If I hadn't cashed in part of my 401k early 5 years ago? There was a pause. Margaret, is everything okay? I just need to know. He did the calculations. With the mortgage paid off and the retirement funds intact, with compound interest and normal growth, I'd be looking at about $350,000 more in assets. The early withdrawal alone, with penalties and lost growth, had cost me about $60,000. You'd be very comfortable, Tom said gently. As it is, you're okay, but you need to be careful. You're looking at about $1,800 a month between Social Security and your pension, and your house payment is still $700. It's manageable, but there's not a lot of cushion for emergencies. After I hung up, I sat with that number, $350,000. That was the real cost of my generosity. Not just the $187,000 I'd given, but the growth and security I'd lost. I'd taught elementary school for 38 years. I'd spent countless evenings grading papers, countless weekends preparing lesson plans, countless hours in professional development courses to keep my teaching license current. I'd done all of that to provide for Nicole, to give her opportunities I never had, to make sure she had a better life. and she was using my sacrifice as her origin story. Except I wasn't in the story. I'd been edited out completely. My phone rang. Nicole again. Hey, Mom. So I was thinking, since Brad and I are going to be in Sedona anyway, maybe we could stop by on the way back? We'd get there Sunday around dinner time? Could you make that lasagna I love? The one with the homemade noodles? That lasagna took 4 hours to make. The homemade noodles alone were 2 hours of work. Actually, Nicole, I have plans Sunday. Oh, that's great. What are you doing? I hadn't had plans. But suddenly, I did. Ruth and I are going to a movie, then dinner. That's so nice. Maybe next weekend then. Maybe. I'll check my calendar and let you know. Another pause. Your calendar? Since when do you have a busy calendar? Since I retired and started actually living my life. I could practically hear her confusion. Okay. Well, just let me know. Love you. After she hung up, I did call Ruth. Want to go to a movie and dinner Sunday? Sure. What brought this on? I'm busy now. I have a calendar. Ruth laughed. It's about time. Sunday came. Ruth and I went to an early movie, then to a nice Italian restaurant I'd always wanted to try but thought was too expensive for just me. We split a bottle of wine. We laughed about nothing and everything. When I got home at 8, there were 3 texts from Nicole. We're in your neighborhood. Want us to swing by? Mom? Are you home? Guess you're still out. Hope you're having fun. Call me tomorrow. I looked at those texts for a long time. Part of me wanted to feel guilty. The old Margaret would have felt guilty. But a new feeling was pushing through, something harder and clearer. Why should I feel guilty for having my own plans? Why should I drop everything because Nicole suddenly decided to swing by? The next morning, I made a decision. I pulled out my bank statements and created a new document. I titled it Statement of Financial Support, Margaret to Nicole, 2010 to 2025. I listed every payment, every loan, every instance of help, with dates and amounts. At the bottom, I added the total, $187,420. Then I wrote an email. Dear Nicole, I listened to your podcast episode, Breaking Free, How I Built My Empire from Nothing. I want to talk to you about something. Would you be available for coffee this week? Just the 2 of us. Love, Mom. She responded within an hour. Sure, Mom. Is everything okay? Wednesday at 10? Wednesday at 10. We met at a Starbucks halfway between our houses. Nicole arrived in workout clothes, her hair in a perfect ponytail, carrying her branded water bottle. She hugged me, then immediately checked her phone. Sorry, just confirming this afternoon's coaching call. Okay, you have my full attention. She smiled brightly. I pulled out the printed document and slid it across the table. What's this? Read it. She picked it up, scanned the first few lines. Her expression shifted from confusion to something else. Discomfort. Maybe embarrassment. Mom, I don't understand why you... Just read it. All of it. She read in silence. I watched her face. When she got to the total at the bottom, she set the paper down and looked up at me. Okay, so you kept track? That's... She laughed nervously. I mean, I didn't know you were keeping a record of everything. I kept financial records like I always have. This isn't about keeping score, Nicole. This is about truth. Truth about what? I pulled out my phone and opened the podcast episode. Pressed play. Let her hear her own voice. I built this empire with no help, no safety net, just pure determination. I stopped it. Is that the truth? Her face flushed. Mom, that's just marketing. It's the story that resonates with my audience. It's not your story. It's a lie. That's not fair. I did work hard. I do hustle. Just because you helped me doesn't mean I didn't build this myself. Nicole, I took out a second mortgage on my house. I cashed in my retirement early and paid penalties. I have $1,800 a month to live on now, instead of the comfortable retirement I could have had. That's not help. That's not a little support. That's sacrifice. and you've erased it completely." She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was defensive. "What do you want me to do? Go on my podcast and say, 'Actually, my mom funded everything?' That would ruin my brand. My whole brand is about self-reliance, and your brand is a lie. It's not a lie. It's just not the whole story. Nobody tells the whole story on social media. Everyone curates their image. Curating and erasing are different things." She crossed her arms. "I don't know what you want from me right now. Do you want me to pay you back? Is that what this is about? Because Brad and I are still building our business, and I don't want you to pay me back. I want you to acknowledge reality. I want you to stop telling people you had no support when you had everything. I want you to stop acting like my help was nothing while asking for more." Acting like it was nothing? "Mom, I thank you all the time. You say thank you and then ask for more money. You say thank you and then cancel plans. You say thank you and then tell thousands of people you did it all alone." Nicole stood up abruptly. "I can't do this right now. I have a call in 20 minutes. She grabbed her phone and water bottle. "I'm sorry my success is such a problem for you. Your success isn't the problem. Your dishonesty is." She stared at me for a moment, then turned and walked out. I sat there alone with my coffee and my list of numbers. People at other tables were working on laptops, chatting, going about their normal Wednesday mornings. I felt strange, like I'd just done something shocking, something a good mother wasn't supposed to do. Good mothers were supposed to accept whatever their children offered and be grateful for scraps of attention. Good mothers weren't supposed to demand acknowledgement, but I was tired of being a good mother by those rules. When I got home, there was a voicemail from Brad. "Margaret, hey, it's Brad. Nicole's pretty upset. I think maybe there's been some miscommunication here. She's not trying to hurt you. The podcast is just her sharing her journey in a way that inspires people. I hope you can understand that. Anyway, call us when you get a chance." I didn't call back. 2 days later, Ruth came over. "Nicole called me," she said. Of course she did. She's confused. She says you're angry about money, but she thought all of that was gifts, not loans. They were gifts. That's not the point. Then what is the point? I thought about it. The point is that she's built her entire public image on a foundation of my invisible work. The point is that she's making money telling people she did it alone while I'm living on a fixed income because I helped her. The point is that love shouldn't require making yourself disappear. Ruth nodded slowly. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." The answer came 2 weeks later. I was at my yearly checkup when Dr. Patel said she wanted to schedule me for a minor surgical procedure. Nothing serious, but we should take care of it. You'll need someone to drive you home after anesthesia and stay with you for 24 hours. Okay, when? How's 3 weeks from now? Friday the 15th? I checked my phone calendar. Empty, like it always was. That works. Make sure you have someone who can stay with you that day and overnight. It's required. I called Nicole that evening. "Hey, honey, I need a favor." "Sure, Mom. What's up?" I explained about the procedure, the Friday date, the need for someone to stay with me. "Oh, Mom, I wish I could. But that's the weekend of my big speaking event in San Diego. I leave Thursday and I'm back Sunday. Could you ask Ruth? Ruth has her book club retreat that weekend. She's been planning it for months. What about one of your teacher friends? I'm asking you, Nicole, my daughter." Silence. Mom, this is a really important event. It's my first time keynoting a conference. I can't miss it. I had surgery scheduled around your college exam schedule. I rearranged my work schedule around your needs for 18 years. I took vacation days to drive you to job interviews, but you can't cancel one speaking event? That's not fair. You were my parent. That was your job. And now? What am I now? Mom, you're being really unfair right now. I'm building a career. I have commitments. I can't just drop everything because you need something. I've dropped everything hundreds of times for you. That was your choice. There it was. The truth underneath everything. You're right, I said quietly. It was my choice, every time. And now, I'm making a different choice. I hung up. I called Dr. Patel's office the next morning and rescheduled the procedure for 3 weeks later. Then I hired a private nursing service to stay with me. It cost $400, but I had it. Barely, but I had it. The day of Nicole's San Diego event, I saw the photos on Instagram. Nicole in a beautiful suit, on stage, holding a microphone. The caption read, "Grateful to be here, sharing my message with 500 incredible women. Here's to building the life you want on your own terms." On your own terms. I wondered what terms I'd been building my life on. Nicole's terms? Society's terms about what good mothers were supposed to do? When had my terms gotten lost? The surgery went fine. The nurse they sent was kind and professional. She helped me home, stayed with me through the evening, made sure I took my medication on schedule. The next morning, another nurse came for a 4-hour shift to make sure I was stable. They were both lovely. They were also strangers. Nicole texted Sunday evening. "How did the surgery go?" "Sorry I've been MIA. The conference was insane." "It went fine. I'm home and recovering." "Who stayed with you?" "I hired someone." "Oh, Mom, you should have told me you were going to have to hire someone. I could have sent money for that." I almost laughed. "I don't want your money, Nicole." "Then what do you want?" Good question. What did I want? I thought about it for a long time before responding. "I want you to tell the truth about your story. I want you to acknowledge the people who helped you. I want you to stop treating my presence in your life as an inconvenience unless you need something. I want to be more than your backup plan or your bank." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "I need some time to think about this." "Take all the time you need." 3 weeks passed, then 4, then 5. No calls, only brief texts. "Hope you're doing well. Thinking of you." Each one light and breezy, as if nothing had happened. I didn't chase her. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I focused on myself. I joined Ruth's book club. I started taking a watercolor class at the community center. I reconnected with friends from my teaching years, the ones I'd drifted away from because I was always saving money or saving time for Nicole. I also started listening to podcasts about financial planning and retirement. There was a whole world of information out there about maximizing Social Security, about downsizing, about finding community and purpose after career ended. Why hadn't I looked into any of this before? Because I'd been too busy being Nicole's mother, being Nicole's support system, being Nicole's invisible foundation. 2 months after our coffee shop conversation, my doorbell rang on a Saturday morning. Nicole stood there, and she'd been crying. "Can I come in?" We sat in my living room. She twisted her hands in her lap. "I've been talking to a therapist," she said finally. "Brad suggested it after I told him about our fight. He said I should process why I got so defensive." I waited. The therapist asked me to make a list of everyone who helped me get where I am. Just factual, no judgment. And Mom, the list was so long. It was mostly you, but also Brad's parents, who let us live with them for 6 months when we were saving for the house, and my old boss who mentored me, and even some clients who referred their friends. All these people who invested in me. She wiped her eyes. And then she asked me why I thought I needed to present myself as completely self-made, why that story was so important to me. "What did you say?" I said, "Because people don't respect women who had help. Because there's this pressure to be a boss babe who does it all alone. Because admitting you needed support makes you look weak." She looked up at me, and she said, "Or maybe it makes you look human. Maybe it makes you relatable. Maybe it makes your success more accessible to people who also need help." Nicole pulled out her phone. "I recorded a new podcast episode. It comes out tomorrow, but I wanted you to hear it first." She pressed play. Her voice came through, but different. Softer, more real. Today's episode is called "The Myth I've Been Selling You." And I need to be honest. I've built my brand on being self-made, but that's not true. My mother took out a second mortgage to pay for my college. She cashed in her retirement early to help me start my business. Over 15 years, she gave me close to $200,000. And I told you I did it alone because I thought that story was more inspiring. But it wasn't more inspiring. It was just a lie. The episode continued. Nicole talked about me, about her fear of being seen as privileged, about how she'd justified erasing my support by telling herself it was just good storytelling. She talked about the coffee shop conversation, about how angry she'd gotten because I'd confronted her with truth. My mom didn't tell me all this because she wanted credit or recognition. She told me because she wanted me to be honest. And she was right. So here's the real story. I built my business with hard work, yes, and determination, yes, but also with incredible support from people who believed in me, especially my mom, who sacrificed her own financial security to give me opportunities. That's the truth. And somehow, that feels more powerful than the myth I was selling. The episode ended. Nicole turned off her phone. I'm also redoing my website bio, she said, taking out self-made. I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it. Maybe built with grit and gratitude or something. I don't know yet. What about your sponsors? Your brand? Some sponsors dropped me already. The episode doesn't air until tomorrow, but I gave them advance notice because it changes the brand positioning. 3 out of 5 dropped me. She smiled sadly. Turns out vulnerability isn't as marketable as invincibility. But the 2 who stayed said they liked the honesty, said it was actually more on brand for where culture is going. I didn't say anything for a moment. Then, why are you telling me all this? Because you were right, about all of it, and I'm sorry. She met my eyes. I'm sorry I erased you. I'm sorry I treated your help like it was nothing. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you had surgery. I'm sorry I've been taking and never really seeing what it cost you. Nicole, I never helped you to make you feel guilty. I know, that's what makes it worse. You helped because you loved me, and I turned that love into a marketing strategy. She started crying again. I'm so sorry, Mom. I pulled her into a hug. This daughter I'd raised alone. This complicated woman who was capable of such ambition and such blindness. I forgive you, I said. But things need to change. I know. We talked for 2 hours. I showed her my budget, explained my financial reality. She was shocked at how little I lived on. Mom, I had no idea. I thought teachers' pensions were better than this. They would be if I hadn't borrowed against them to help you. She winced, but didn't look away. What can I do? You can't give me back the money, but you can give me back the relationship. Real time. Not just when it's convenient. Real presence, not just texts. And you can stop asking me for money. Okay, yes, all of that. And Nicole, if you ever genuinely need help, I'll still help you. But you need to acknowledge it when I do. I will, I promise. The podcast episode aired on Monday. I listened to it in full this time, tears running down my face at parts. Nicole had been so brave, so honest. My phone started ringing. Friends from book club, from teaching, even some former colleagues. Everyone wanted to say they'd heard the episode, that they were proud of Nicole for being so honest, that they understood my situation better now. Ruth called last. You did good, Margaret. She did good. I just finally told the truth. You did more than that. You taught her a lesson that will serve her the rest of her life. The comments on the episode were overwhelmingly positive. Thousands of people thanking Nicole for her honesty, sharing their own stories of support they'd received, acknowledging their own parents or mentors. A few negative comments about how she'd lied before, but even those were mostly understanding. One comment stood out. My mom sacrificed everything for me, and I never really saw it until she was gone. Thank you for this reminder to call my mom and say thank you while I still can. Nicole screenshotted that comment and sent it to me. This is what you gave me by telling the truth. Not just our relationship back, but a chance to help other people see their parents more clearly. Things didn't magically fix themselves after that. Nicole was still busy, still building her business, but she showed up differently now. She came over every other Sunday for breakfast. No phones, just us. She included me in her podcast sometimes, interviewing me about single motherhood, about teaching, about life. Her audience loved it. Turns out people were hungry for real stories, not perfect ones. She also started paying me back. Not the full amount, that would take years, but every month, a check for $500 appeared in my mailbox with a note. Not repayment, gratitude. After 6 months, I told her to stop, that I didn't need it. She refused. Mom, you're 73 now. Let me help you the way you helped me. I was 62, not 73, but I didn't correct her. Let her think I was older if it made her more eager to show up. A year after our coffee shop confrontation, Nicole invited me to her biggest speaking event yet, a conference in New York with 2,000 attendees. She'd asked me to introduce her. I stood on that stage, looking out at a sea of faces, and told them about raising Nicole alone, about the sacrifices and the love and the complexity of motherhood, about how I'd made mistakes too, enabling sometimes when I should have let her struggle, giving when I should have taught her to stand on her own, about how we'd both learned to be better. Then Nicole took the stage. Her speech was called Building Success on a Foundation of Gratitude. She talked about me, but she also talked about all the invisible labor that supports every success story. The mentors, the partners, the parents, the friends, the people whose work doesn't show up in Instagram posts but makes everything else possible. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Afterward, backstage, she hugged me. Thank you for not letting me get away with the lie. Thank you for listening when I told you the truth. We went to dinner that night, just the two of us, at an expensive restaurant I would never have chosen for myself. Nicole insisted on paying. I can afford it now, she said, and I want to. I know you can. But Nicole, yeah, it's not about the money. It never was. I know, Mom. It was about being seen, finally. After all these years, after all that money, after all that sacrifice, she finally saw me. And that, I realized as I looked at my daughter across the table, her face open and honest in a way it hadn't been in years, was worth more than any amount I'd ever given her. We ordered dessert, lingered over coffee, talked about everything and nothing. When we finally left the restaurant, Nicole linked her arm through mine. I love you, Mom. The real you, not the convenient version I pretended existed. I love you too, honey. The real you, with all your ambition and all your flaws. We walked down the New York street together, a mother and daughter who'd almost lost each other to myth-making and invisible labor, and the dangerous story that success must be solitary. But we'd found our way back. Not to perfection, but to truth. And truth, I'd learned, was the only foundation that could really hold. The Arizona sun would be hitting my kitchen window tomorrow morning at 6:30, turning my small house into something golden. And this time, I'd be there to see it, not preparing for someone else's arrival, not waiting to be needed, just there, present in my own life, in the light I'd worked my whole life to pay for. That light was mine. And finally, after all these years, I was learning to live in it.